Hi, everybody. Welcome back to another edition of VCTV. I'm your host, Kyle Ellicott. And today we're going to be talking again about early stage venture and seed investments. What does this mean as an investor to start beginning to make investments within early stage companies? But more importantly, as we're looking at the landscape, where is the most activity when it comes to early stage capital? What industries are very exciting or very hot for early stage capital right now? And for entrepreneurs, what should you be thinking about, or how should you be looking at your potential fundraisers as well? And so we bring investors from around the world today to share their thoughts and insights and get inside of all of our heads as investors as to how we look at early stage capital deals and also what we think is happening within the space. So with that being said, before we get started, a big thank you to you, our audience, for tuning in. The comments are open. Feel free to drop in any questions you have. Always say hello if you have the chance. And also a big thank you to the LATOKEN team and to Maria for making VCTV possible every single day. With that, I'm your host, Kyle Ellicott. Let's go ahead and introduce today's guest. Zach, welcome to the show. First time, a little introduction, a little background on yourself.
Yes, well, thanks for having me this morning. So I'm Zach Martin. I'm the current CFO at Loop. It's an electric vehicle charger company. I previously was at Ernst & Young for the last 7.5 years and joined EV Loop here last December as their chief financial officer. That's basically me. My big thing right now is trying to get into industries that I see a long time future in, and the EV infrastructure world is one of those where the world's going, where the country's going. There's a lot of governments, cities, the biggest car manufacturers in the world are all putting a whole bunch of money into the EV infrastructure world and EVs in general. So that's why I found this opportunity a very great one to jump into, where I can invest my own personal means and also my time into helping grow this company. And that's my background right now. I've done some IPOs in my past. My focus has always been in the technology industry, serving Fortune 50 companies in my past, et cetera. So that's kind of my background and where I kind of see the future.
Rock on. Well, wonderful. Looking forward to diving a little deeper, not only into EVs, but some of those other areas as well. We've had Looped on here before, so really great company. But next, Adrian, a little intro and a little background for everybody, please.
Thank you very much, Kyle, for having me. Hello, everybody. And it's the beginning of a new week. My name is Adrian Niculescu. I'm a serial entrepreneur and investor, and I say that my genius areas are marketing, sales, and business development, and I love keeping my hands dirty in these areas. Besides my advisory roles and board membership slots, I'm actively involved with CloudCoin Consortium. CloudCoin is a post-blockchain digital currency. Faster Capital, which is a Dubai-based accelerator and incubator for startups. Saga Global Ventures, which is a London-based venture capital firm. And also I'm a mentor in Richard Branson's Virgin Startups program in UK. Happy to be here.
Wonderful. Happy to have you as well, Adrian. Last but not least, Taryn, welcome to the show. A little intro, a little background for everybody, please. Oh, sorry, Taryn. Looks like we have you muted. Let me see. Oh, there you go. You're good.
Thank you very much for inviting me to your event. Congratulations for this program. And well, I'm going to explain you a little bit of my background. I started at the private banking, and I moved forward to the venture capital in 2016. I'm working as an investor director of relations in TH Capital. We were investing in the United States and Canada since 2008 for early stage companies. And I'm based in Barcelona. And in 2017, I started to develop Impulse for Women. Impulse for Women is a marketplace connecting female lead tech entrepreneurs and also any social impact project, male or female, with investors. We cover all the lifetime average of the startup. And besides, in 2018, I started to be jury member at the European Commission for the EIC SME Innovation Program. And I'm part of the World Business Angels Forum as a senator and board member at the Global Startup Cities. Thank you very much.
Thank you. I mean, this is a great panel to be a part of. I feel very honored to be here with you all today. This is exciting. And Taryn, I want to start with you. I mean, in terms of what you are seeing in the world of early stage, I mean, having been in venture for about 5 years and growing now, being based in Europe, in particular in Barcelona, where Mobile World Congress and other big events take place, and being a part of the World Business Angels, I'm sure you're seeing a lot in terms of early stage, and either from the amount of companies to the industries. What can you tell us about the early stage venture community within Europe, and maybe particularly Spain as well?
Basically, we are only investing at 20% in Europe. The 80% is going to United States and Canada. In Spain, what we're starting to do then is something, the difference between United States and Canada and Spain compared to the Nordic countries of Europe, it's that the pre-money value of the companies are much more cheaper. So we can see an opportunity there. And our scope right now is going very much aligned with social impact projects. So basically, we are investing in 5 different verticals as fintech, cybersecurity, education tech, health tech, prop tech. But it's true that is our 3rd fund right now. And we're still checking any other sectors that we have been exploring or we have been investing in the past. By the other hand, it's true that we were not very aligned with blockchain since the last 2 years, that we started to see how blockchain is covering all the fields in the technology sector. So we also are having much more, we are looking at them in a different way. And by now, I know that the 5G is getting very strong and people are starting to invest in it, but we're not going in yet.
Yeah, it's still new. It's still new. I mean, I know that in Barcelona particularly, but within Southern Europe, there is a lot of activity around 5G, but it's still very new. I mean, we're all still looking at it as well, I think, for many. And Adrian, I'd like to come over to you. I mean, you talk a lot here on VCTV about some of the things that you see, but being a part of Richard Branson's accelerator program and initiatives, tell us a little bit more about what you're seeing on the industry side or some of those applications, and what's really the undergrounding activity around early stage.
So I'm involved in a lot of projects related to early stage startups, and I wanted to bring into attention something which is which is avoided usually, the power of discipline. I work with a lot of founders, and of course, we associate discipline with something bad. And this is a result of the education we received in formal schools, but especially with the statistics regarding startups that, I don't know, 90%, 95% they fail. I don't have an exact figure, but it's around that. Sometimes the product may be great. The market opportunity would be fantastic, but sometimes the biggest bottleneck is the founder of that project, especially in early stage, because to succeed in such competitive times, you need to develop a lot of habits. Like in the morning when you go to brush your teeth, you need to do this, you need to do that when you are looking at the company you are building. And lately, I believe this became, I would say, the biggest problem. There are founders who are starting, let's say, a 1-year program, 1-year mentoring program, and after 1 or 2 months, they don't even answer the phone, which is, I would say, pretty bad. It wasn't something like that, I would say, a lot until 2019. Starting in 2019, and especially in 2020, I see this more and more happening, and it's a very, very bad thing. I believe that these times are the best to launch a startup. You have so many opportunities, so many means to do it, so many potential funding opportunities, accelerators, incubators, but unfortunately, the discipline, which is very, very important, I see that it's not like a primary concern for a lot of people, and this is one of the main causes of failures. And it's something I wanted to bring into this discussion because it's very, very important.
Thank you, Adrian. So just to clarify, what you want to talk about in today's discussion is how entrepreneurs come into programs like accelerators and incubators and others and use that time and sometimes become successful, sometimes not. Maybe just clarify a little bit more what the question is for us.
I just wanted to say that because there are so many tools you can use and so many means which were not available, let's say 5 years ago, it's like you have all the means to succeed. The only thing is very important is like to do your part, to do your role. And so many founders are not ready to put the effort to succeed. Having that said, all the means possible, which were not available a few years back. So it's a matter of inner game, internal game, mindset, and of course, the application to do it. That's it. We have everything is open.
Yeah, you're right. I mean, there's more opportunity, more support and resources than ever before. It's also it's a mindset. I mean, if you're going to build a company, you need to be ready to build a company. It's hard, it's not easy, and it's long term. It's going to take 5 to 7 to 10 plus years of your life, and you need to be ready for that as well. And Zach, I want to come to you next. Thank you, Adrian. Talk to us a little bit about what you're seeing, of areas of interest around the maybe early stage area. I mean, EV, electric vehicles, is a huge booming area here in the States and globally as well. But maybe outside of EV, what else are you seeing that's getting you excited looking at the early stage? And then we'll come back to EV here in just a moment.
Well, I think what I'm seeing is just people excited about the companies that are the early stage are just going to, basically what's going to last long term. And it's hard for me because I'm not a typical investor every day. I'm a CFO at a company right now, so I'm probably not the best one to answer that question. But what I see is just what can I invest in now that's going to survive in the next 10 years? And that I always look at the product. What is everybody excited about? Because I don't want to, it's hard to find what's going to last long term. That just takes a lot of inventory and a lot of investigating on your part, but I don't have the best answer to that because I'm technically just a CFO. I'm not too much of an early stage venture investor, but I can talk to you about the EV world if you just want to jump into that.
Sure, and it's okay. I mean, all of us are investors in some way, shape, or form, right? We build companies, we invest, we look at different industries and technologies that we want to be a part of. So you're totally fine for the conversation. But talk to us a little bit about what's happening in the EV market. So as investors, if we're looking to get into electric vehicles and understanding where maybe the best place to play is, outside of EV Loop, which is a great company, where should investors be thinking about investing? What's missing in the market around EV that needs a little bit of a boost, if you will?
Well, the only thing that's missing in the EV market right now is the infrastructure. There's just not enough chargers out there right now, and it's trying to find that. So companies like us investing in us or our competitors is basically just trying to help getting EVs out in the infrastructure. And a whole bunch of companies right now as well, like GM and the big motor companies of the world, are putting a whole bunch of money into the EV world where they can start building more electric vehicles. And I think that's also a good investment, especially with AI driven vehicles, because the money's going there. We know that in the next 10, 15, 20 years, the whole driving world is going to be completely different than it is now. And we know the outcome. We know there's going to be way more electric vehicles out on the road. We know there's going to have to be a lot more EV infrastructure on the road. So those kind of known factors makes me feel comfortable in investing in companies such as those, because they're putting the money, they're putting their money where their mouth is right now. And it's just a known outcome. We know it's going to go there. It's going to grow. There's going to be a lot more production in this world, in the EV world. And that's what I'm seeing. So any area of growing, getting more EV vehicles out there, the infrastructure, all of that's missing right now, but it's growing and people putting their money into that sector. And I think any investment in companies that you feel like can grow long term in that sector are going to give you a good return.
I think
if you
right.
think about it right now, GM has said by 2035 they're not going to produce any more gas vehicles, right? So we know in the next 10 years they're putting a whole bunch of money into that in that field.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you're right, which leads to greater opportunities as well as a whole. I mean, Taryn mentioned fintech is an area that she and her firm were focused on. I mean, there's huge opportunities for fintech, infotainment, and many others when it comes to those future electric vehicles as well. And, Taryn, coming back to you, I mean, as an investor, if I'm looking to start making investments within Europe or within Barcelona to start, what is some advice that you have for an outside investor looking to start making investments locally in early stage companies?
Well, actually, we were investing. The way that we invest in Spain is very different to the way that we invest in the northern countries or in the United States and Canada. And depending as an investor, you have to be aware of the difference that you have in the locations that you want to invest to. So, as I said previously, the pre-money valuation in the market of a company here in Spain is much more cheaper than the same one in Germany or the same one in UK. And besides, the way that every time more and more we are copying the same structure as the Nordic countries, but right now we are like in progress time that things are changing and we are much more aligned to the European countries, to the Nordic European countries. But basically in the equity, the way that they get much more equity than, I don't know, as a venture capital, we are not investing in a company that is not listed. The equity of the entrepreneurs are 75-80% of the equity by their own, because our intention is that they are supposed to come another fund behind us, and we do not want neither that the entrepreneur is waking up in the morning only with 1,000 euros per month as a salary. So it's like that's one thing. Another one, that the accelerators, venture capital, accelerators, incubators, and venture builders here in Spain, they are getting much more equity compared to the Nordic countries, and it's like a closed market. Very close. I guess that now things are changing thanks to COVID. I think that it has been talk about it was the industrial revolution, and now we're having a technology revolution, and we are changing the way that the consumers are. So it's not so much, for my opinion, it's not so much the sectors, because that's not a matter of fashion. It's a matter of what is going on. And for example, health has been like super strong. We have been needing to have much more investing in health companies, the same as education. All the problems that we have with the COVID, the people is moving outside from the cities, starting to change their residencies, and at the same time, we are much more introduced in the technology sector as a consumer, and as applications for services, for products. For sure, I think that the taxi drones that was going out last week, I guess, in China, there's some hardware, so some things that they need a lot. They have a lot of barriers, government barriers, and then the way that they're gonna protect their IPs. And I don't know. I think that there's gonna be much more longer time. The food tech, for example. In 2050, we're not going to have the same type of food. we're already experimenting at this point. And the things that we're doing right now with changing chemistry for natural components is like also really different. I'm seeing a lot of startups coming with the insects world, but it's not only that we're going to eat them, it's also the way that they're using the pheromones to supply the pesticides, the chemical pesticides. I mean, we can change. Every time that you see a need in the market and your problem is solved, you're solving a problem, there's your hole. If you know how to do it, for sure, as he said before, as the entrepreneur knows how to do it, has a discipline, and knows how to write it.
Absolutely. And Adrian, I want to thank you, Taryn. Adrian, I want to come to you next. Advice for entrepreneurs as an investor. I mean, you gave a little bit, but maybe go one level deeper. If entrepreneurs are out there listening to start building their early stage company or looking to get their first seed round, what advice do you have for them anywhere in the world as an investor?
As said before, the next big thing can come from anywhere, so it doesn't matter where you are. By the way, I went to South Summit in Spain in 2019. I spoke there. The atmosphere was second to none, the startup atmosphere there. My advice would be to as it was mentioned before, to try to figure out what will be in the market, on the market, like 5 to 10 years from now, because the habits of people, the way people consume information, products, services, both in B2B and B2C, is changing or will change. And if you want to build something sustainable, which will be funded, will become profitable, and will pass the test of time, you need to think about what will be here in 5 to 10 years. If you look at fintech, for example, you would say that fintech is overcrowded, but still, because the market is not consolidated and is very fractioned, there are huge opportunities here. Even if the market it seems to be overcrowded. And one thing, usually when you need to follow the money. It's like, if you are looking in a niche where there isn't much competition, maybe there isn't such a big opportunity there. And in the niches where there's a huge opportunity, you need to go there, but to differentiate yourself. So don't be afraid of the competition. Competition is good. You need to compete first with yourself to become better, to have a fantastic product, to serve in the best way more than anybody else, the customers, and you will succeed. And focus all the time on the customers, on the clients. Companies like Amazon, like Apple, they are focusing and they are embracing their customers, their clients, the people who are buying from them, the people who are purchasing, like everything they put in the market. So build everything around the customers. This should be the primary focus, and try to over deliver. Deliver more than anybody else to those clients, those customers, and you will succeed.
Customers are always right and always be closing. ABC. Zach, to you. I mean, as a CFO, a lot of early stage companies, it's generally don't have a CFO. All right, CFOs usually come in around those next stages of a company at their Series A or Series B, depending on their growth and where they may be based. But what advice do you have as a CFO for the early stage companies getting started, things to prepare for, or just advice you have for those getting started and raising their first seed round?
I would say prepare earlier than you think you need to start preparing, because the earlier you can get the team, and to kind of back what was just previously said, for an entrepreneur, it's about surrounding yourself with great team members that will help build you up and take some of your responsibilities off of your plate, because the founder of every company has to do a lot. And part of that is understanding the finances, the operations, everything. And the founders have always run the whole company from the very beginning. So it's really surrounding yourself when you're able to, because sometimes you don't always have the means to be able to pay a CFO or a COO or somebody else to come in and help you. But typically, if you're trying to move quickly, you need to get help sooner than later, and get people that were going to help build you up, understand and how they can, and then surround your people who have been through it before as well, because they can help you every step of the way. And don't just hire a good friend or a colleague that you've known from the past. Really do your research. Find somebody who knows what they're doing, who's been through it, so they can help you every step by the way. Because even when you hire a CFO, sooner the better, because once the CFO comes in there, there's a lot he's going to have or she's going to have to change and get on track, because not everybody has the right mindset for what needs to be done. And you think you're doing it the right way, and then somebody comes in here and they have to revamp the whole thing. Not saying that we had to do that, but there's a lot of things that I've had to revamp just because of my experience and understanding gap and what investors are looking for, et cetera. So start sooner than later. Don't wait until the last minute, because typically it's too late. By that point, you're going to be behind schedule. And if you have a great focus and you think your product is long term, invest in your company now and hire the right people that are going to make you better and your company better.
Great advice. And Taryn, close us out. I mean, what other advice do you have for entrepreneurs as an investor, or again, looking to maybe raise their first seed round, or really just starting to ramp up? What advice do you have as an investor to those entrepreneurs?
Okay, just they must spend 40% of their time to fundraise. So they better analyze who are in the other side. Which type of investor do they need? If they are very early stage and they do not have an MRR that they could go up to the early stage venture capital, they should start to search which business angel or family offices will be their investors. Once that they approach also to the venture capital, they should know where are we investing. All of us, we're in different. We have different strategies. We are not investing in hardware. We're not investing in crypto, for example. And we receive continuously a lot of approach from different startups, and they're losing their time. They are not doing the work as they are supposed to study who is in the other side. Besides, it's important to know if a fund, we are closing our round, or we are right now in the third fund starting to invest, because then you have much more probabilities to have this meeting with me or with the other ones, just because we are already right now analyzing startups. So that's my advice.
It's, I think, all very great advice from all of you, and really appreciate the thoughts and insights around this. I want to come around for closing thoughts and where you can be found online, and maybe give a shout out to one new industry that you're keeping your eye on that could be a rising category. For me, it's food tech, something Taryn mentioned earlier, the future of food and how we look at alternative foods in general as well. And Adrian, why don't you kick us off? Closing thoughts. So an industry that you might be looking at that people should just be aware of, and then also where can you be found online to continue the conversation?
As a closing thought, besides focusing on the customers, the clients, all founders should focus on marketing and sales. Even when you pitch investors, you are selling an opportunity. So you need to focus on that like crazy. An industry I'm looking at, it's anything related to healthy food, because this is more important than ever. And of course, you will ask, okay, define healthy food. Huge opportunities. I can be found on LinkedIn. That one is my main communication hub. Happy to answer all questions. I always respond to messages. Thank you very much for having me here, and can't wait to come back to VC TV family.
Thank you very much, Adrian. Zach, to you, a closing thought of an industry outside of EV. Again, EV, electric vehicles, and Loop in general are great companies, great industries. What's one industry that you might want to throw out there to the audience? And then where can everyone find you and Loop as well online to continue the conversation if they're interested in EVs or even building a charging network as well?
Yeah, I think one of the industries that could potentially take an increase in would be some home healthcare services. Some of the treat yourself at home companies. I think that can have an increase, as well as any cryptocurrency type companies. I just think that's going to keep continuing on growing. And then what was the second part? You can find me at LinkedIn, Zach. Yeah, Zach Martin at LinkedIn, or if you look up EV Loop online, you'll see us come up on your Google search or any search you're doing.
Wonderful. Thank you, Zach. And then Taryn, lastly, one industry that everyone should be paying attention to, and then where can everyone find you and your fund online to continue the conversation?
Well, actually, the 5G. We're going very slow. We're always in the backside waiting what is going on, and then we get in. But cryptocurrency, for example, is something that we could start now to look at it, because there's always started in the online market, but now they're starting to sell and using a lot of platforms from the cryptocurrency, using it in the offline banks. So that's one change that for us right now is looking in different ways. So we're starting to check on it. Yeah.
Wonderful. And where can everyone find you and the fund online to continue the conversation if they want to reach out to connect?
LinkedIn. Shall we send it over? What do you want to do?
Perfect.
And also for Impulse for Women, we are more than 4,000 worldwide startups, females, lead tech entrepreneur and social impact, and we are over there helping no charge for startups.
Wonderful. Wonderful. Well, everyone, thank you very much for sharing your thoughts and insights to the audience. Make sure you check out online and connect with Taryn, Adrian, and Zach as well in their respected areas and respected companies as well. And thank you very much for tuning in to today's episode of VCTV. We'll be back here after a short little break with more VCTV with a few additional investors as well. And a big thank you to the LATOKEN team and to Maria for making today's episode possible. You can find me along with all of our speakers online on all social media. You can find me at Kyle Ellicott. And again, thank you all very much. Make sure you reach out, add context, where you heard us, where you met us, and what you would like to continue the conversation about. With that, everyone have a great day, and we'll be back here in just a little bit. Thanks, everybody.
Thank
you.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.